Welcome to Getting Started with ITS Dispatch. The purpose of this tutorial is to provide account administrators with what they need to know in order to set up their account. Topics covered include how to set up your customer database, how to set up your shipper and consignee locations, how to set up your transportation partners information, and how to set up your company-specific information.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Getting Started training session. My name is Andy. Today we're going to help you out with getting started with your new ITS Dispatch software. To get started with your ITS Dispatch software, as an administrator, you're going to go up to the top left-hand side of your screen. Once logged in, again, up top left-hand side of your screen, this is your database. This is where you're going to get started, okay? So we're going to start with customers, the bill to customer. This is who we're going to invoice so we get paid for a load. By clicking on customers, it's going to open up your database. You're going to click add. Anywhere in our system you see a red asterisk, these are mandatory fields and are required in order to be able to save it. Excuse me, I'm going to minimize that a little bit, it's too big. Okay, in order to be able to save. If you go click save and you don't have all the information in that is required, it's going to bring up, please correct the following. And it's going to give you all the things that you need to address. Okay. Again, you need to put in a bill to customer's name, like say Coca-Cola, their mailing address, 123 Mississauga Street, the country, selecting the country, selecting the state. And when you go to select a city, you need to select from the drop-down anywhere within our system that you have the country, state, and city. Select from the drop-down. I do know most people's typing is a lot quicker than sometimes the system, but please again, click on the drop-down, it will accept it. If I had to type that in, the likelihood is when I went to the zip code, it would have disappeared, okay? So when you put in the mailing address, you can send the mailing address the same as, and it will fill in this area for you. You can put in a contact person's name, telephone number, email address, secondary contact, etc. Under the bill to customer, you can click on advance. Under advance, American or Canadian dollars, payment terms. If you have like a payment term that you need to select for that particular customer, and this will show up on your invoice. You can set a credit limit to whatever you wish, and then as the loads go through and you invoice them, you will need to come back in if you get to the point that the credit limit has met its limits. Sales reps, you can add a sales rep to a customer, and every time that customer gets used, that sales rep will get added to a sales rep commission. If you are factoring your receivables and you have a factoring company built into the database under admin, you can assign that factoring company to that particular customer. When it comes time to do the invoice, instead of having your company name on the invoice as a payable to, it will have your factoring company. Now you do not have to have a factoring company in there, and then what will happen up the top left-hand side of an invoice, it'll have your company name as a payable to. Okay, so there's some simple things as well. Notifications, let's touch on that just briefly. You can add a notification. Say a customer wants to know when that load is dispatched, or that load's en route, or delivered, or completed. Putting in their email address and then saving it. Every time you change the load status from open to say dispatched, en route, delivered, or completing, that customer will receive a notification. The email addresses, it's extremely important that you make sure that they do receive it, okay? A lot of times AOL, .NET, and Yahoo will reject an ITS Dispatch email. The reason being is because it says do not reply. So their particular emails view it as spam. So make sure if they have one of those email addresses, they do accept it. If not, they might need to give permission for ITS Dispatch emails to show up or get a different email address. All right, make sure before you exit out, you always save your changes. And if you're missing information, it is going to let you know. Okay, don't just go up to the top right-hand side, click exit, because it will not save any of the changes that you have made. You can always come back into the system anywhere in our system where you have an edit pencil, come back in and you can edit any of the information that you might have. All right, so let's exit it. I got to make that a little smaller again. All right, let's exit out of there. That's your bill to customer. Okay, and again, under admin, this is your database. Okay, adding a shipper. This is where you're sending your driver or external carrier to go pick up the load. So by clicking on add, you're going to put in the shipper's name, their address, country, state, city, zip, contact person's name, contact email, telephone number, etc. You can put shipping hours like 9 to 5 if there's appointments required, yes or no. And then when you go to create a rate and load confirmation, I'll have all this information on that rate confirmation. You can add notes, like go door 3 and ask for Bob. That again will show up on a rate and load confirmation where the carrier or your company driver will be able to call and make sure they're doing the right thing for that shipper. Okay. Once you've added your shipper, then it's time to go in, admin, consignees. The same deal. All right. Always remember to save your changes or it will not save it in the system. Under admin, again, drivers, trucks, and trailers. If you are a carrier and you have your own company drivers, trucks, and trailers, you are going to load this part of the database. If you are a broker and you're brokering freight to external carriers, you will add external carriers to the database. We're just going to touch on it briefly, okay? So let's touch on the company drivers. Adding a driver to the system is quick and easy as clicking add. You can put it their singular team, the driver's name, telephone number, cell phone, email, address, etc. Okay? You can set up a pay schedule for a company driver, like per mile, percentage, or hourly. It is one or the other. It is not all three. If you need to have Andy per mile, percentage, and hourly, you'll have to create Andy as a per mile driver, Andy as an hourly driver, Andy as a percentage driver. Okay? We can get further into that. And again, anything that we have discussed here is under help, training videos, and you can watch how to add a driver, accounting, everything through our training videos. And they're in 2, 3 to 5 minute little segments. All right, back to admin, adding a truck to the system, very straightforward and simple, putting in a truck number, a truck type. Okay, for your purpose, you can put in a license plate number, an expiry date, and you will get a notification if you use the expiry date 30 days in advance to that plate expiring. If you have IFTA with us, under the IFTA tab, you need to select the fuel type being diesel, include this truck for IFTA, and then select the state or province that you're registered under, and then click Save. All of the rest of the information is for your benefit only, like mileage, number of axles on the truck. So say you have a dispatcher who's dispatching on nights and he's at home. If he needs it or he had a problem, you can find out what the mileage, what the year of the truck is, the start date, the insurance policy number, the gross vehicle weight, the identification number. All right, let's exit out of there. Loading a trailer is the same thing. For those of you that are brokering freight and using external carriers, clicking on external carriers is as easy as clicking add, and we're just going to take one that pre-exists. So you have the external carrier's name. You can put in the date when you added that carrier to your list. Okay. Anywhere you see in our system where it says username and password, be cautious, especially if it auto-fills your name in there. Okay, because that's giving the carrier permission or a username and a password to log in, which you have to give to them, so they can't really log in. But what will happen is when you log out and you log back in, you're going to log in as a carrier and only see the information that that carrier can see, which is going to be very minimum. So please be cautious on a company driver and on an external carrier load or setup. If you see the username and password and it automatically fills in here and it's got your name in there, back it out of there. Okay. Now this is only for if you want to give them permission to log in. If you need further assistance with that, again, please don't hesitate. During the regular business hours, give us a call. Any one of us in training support will be glad to help out. All right, adding an address, country, state, city. Again, I can't stress enough, make sure you select from the drop-down that's presented. Okay, contact person's name, email address. Now we can send rate and load confirmations to our company driver and to our external carriers by their email address. Be sure that the email address you have is a good one and that accepts emails from ITS Dispatch that shows as a do not reply. If it does not, you might need to get a different email address. There is nothing that we can do. Again, there's Yahoo, .net, and AOL are the ones that are commonly that people don't receive emails. Okay, so you can get a different email like a Hotmail or a company email like andy@itsdispatch.com or Gmail address. Okay. You can set payment terms. This will show up on a rate and load confirmation, or not rate and load confirmation, a carrier payable printout. So it shows the payment terms, their tax ID number, MC number, etc. You can set insurance up with an external carrier. Once you set up an insurance, you'll have to constantly keep updating it whenever the date is expired. So 30 days in advance to it expiring, you will get a pop-up notification when you go to use that carrier, letting you know that their insurance is about to expire. So thereafter, until such time as you change it, or if you make it mandatory that you need it upon that date. Go back to our admin. Custom brokers. If you move freight into Canada or Mexico, you will require a custom broker. Okay, and it's pretty simple to add. You're just going to put in the broker's name, the crossing like Windsor, Sarnia, Detroit, Buffalo, etc., the telephone number, extension, toll-free number, and that will show up on a rate and load confirmation so your carrier or your company driver will know who to call to cross that border. All right, let's exit out of there. Again, this is your database. Once we've built our database, going to create a load becomes point and shoot. Under custom brokers, you have factoring companies. If your carriers have factoring companies, you can add the factoring company to the database, and once you've added it to the database, you can then go back into the external carrier and add it to the carrier. Then it will make it payable to the carrier, or the factoring company as to the external carrier. Offices. If you have agent offices with us and you're paying for that component, you'll have this tab so that you can add the agent offices. For those of you that are an administrator, you have the access to users. It is important that everybody has their own username and password to log into the system. If we were all sharing Andy as a user every time somebody logged in, so say I'm logged in at the moment and then somebody else uses my login, it will knock me out of the system, and we'll play that game until such time as we all have our own username and password. It is free for unlimited users. You can set up different permissions. Like say I want Craig to only have a dispatcher permissions. The difference between a dispatcher and an administrator is a dispatcher can do everything. He can do load confirmations, add a customer, shipper, consignee, driver, truck, trailer. He just does not see the accounting, dashboard, or reports, or he does not see the user list in the setup, okay? Where an administrator will have access to everything, okay? You can add a sales rep to a dispatcher or a administrator. Once you have a sales rep added to the user, you can set up a commission schedule, okay? So that particular individual gets paid 50% on the margin. That's after carrier or driver costs of the load, okay? Again, if you need further assistance with this, please don't hesitate, give us a call, be glad to help out. All right, back to admin. Other numbers. Other numbers gives us the ability to have other columns on our dispatch board, like container numbers, okay? So all we have to do is go add, put in the name, and then show this item on dispatch, okay? Or if not, you just leave it, on, so that it doesn't show up on the dispatch board. And when you're inside of the load, you can select from the one that you wish to show up on a rate and load confirmation. All right, that is other numbers. Back to admin, third party. If you are doing bill of ladings for an external carrier or company driver because the shipper is not giving one to them, and you need a third party billing person's name on it. Clicking here, third party, you add the person's name, address, telephone number, and then when you're inside of the load, you can add a BOL with a third party person's name on it. It's a tongue twister, isn't it? Back to admin. All right, preferences. Again, only an administrator will have the access to the preferences. And the preferences, it's showing your account setup, your company name. Now with a company name, if you need to have changes like Waterfront Property LLC or one of the INC, we would need to do that from ITS Dispatch, okay, and your account number. You can change your primary contact person's name, your telephone number, extension, etc. You can change the currency setting from American or Canadian to American dollars, okay, your date format, year, month, day, month, year, etc. Now that will be just the way that it is displayed on your ITS Dispatch. It will show up still commonly on the reports as year, month, day. Okay. Your company mailing address, you can change it in here on your own. Settings, again, there's a multiple different settings of which you can change. And you need further assistance with that, I suggest you give us a call and we'll be glad to help you out with this. Under Preferences, you have a Notes tab. Under the Notes tab, you can add specific notes like possibly load sheet notes like the driver must call in on a daily basis and whatever phone number information, or for a external carrier load where you're brokering freight, maybe you might want to have your legal information. Once saved, this will show up on every rate and load confirmation. Again, under Preferences and Admin, feel free, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you further with this. All right, so back to Admin. This is your account setup. All right, once you have your account set up, it's time to start creating some loads.
Thanks for tuning in to the Getting Started training for ITS Dispatch Account Administrators. We highly recommend that you continue with your learning using the Creating and Managing Your Loads tutorials. If you have any questions, please reach out to customer support at 1-888-338-9656.